Haunt for Xbox 360 Kinect is a forever lost horror game on the console, as it was a 360 exclusive, did not receive a physical release, and is not backwards compatible. So it was forever lost when the 360 store closed last year, which is a shame because this game was actually pretty good and I overall enjoyed playing it. Before we go any further, I would like to add that in order to record off my 360, I have to disconnect my console from my TV and hook it up to my laptop, which is maybe a quarter the size of my TV, and since I had to stand about 10 feet away from my screen so my Kinect could read me, it was kinda hard for me to see what I was actually doing in-game, so please forgive me if my footage isn't the best, and my Kinect decided to flip out while recording, but I got that worked out. Okay, now for my review. This game is interesting, to say the least. It's a first-person literal walking sim slash kid-friendly horror game holding a E10 rating. You play as yourself in this game, and the game starts off with you waking up unconscious in a haunted mansion belonging to a guy named Benjamin, who's stuck in paintings and asks you to help him. As you progress in the game, you learn that this dude is a total butthole, based off newspaper clippings you find about him and his own actions and commentary. You learn that he was having renovations done to his mansion, and pretty much kidnapped his employees and forced them to work for free, and they attempted to kill him with the Phasma Flask machine, more on that soon, but were only semi-successful, as he threw his walking cane into the machine mid-process, and he ended up becoming trapped in the paintings throughout the mansion, which he uses to talk with you throughout the game. Your task is to collect all 4 Phasma Flasks, which have been hidden throughout his mansion by Ghost, and when you have all 4, you put them into the machine to free Benjamin from the paintings, and spoiler alert, after you free him, he betrays you, and then uses the machine to suck you into the paintings, forever condemning you to be stuck as a decoration in his house. So, yeah, a simple story that gets the job done. Now, gameplay is pretty simple. You walk around, avoid or fight ghosts, depending on the type, avoid environmental hazards, solve simple puzzles, and search for Benjamin's flasks while trying to not die. I'd say this game had about a 90 to 95% success rate when reading my movements versus Darts vs. Zombies, another Kinect game I reviewed a while back, which maybe read 10% of my movements. You walk in place to move forward and use your arms to aim your flashlight, which gets broken in one level and you have to shake it every now and then until you find a replacement. The game always gives you prompts as to what you're supposed to do, and you almost always had a fair amount of time to react, be it telling you to duck, jump, dodge. It was generally pretty easy. I must say that this game did always find ways to keep things fresh, like I didn't expect the sections where I'd have to jump, or even use my voice in some areas. You have to use it to fight certain ghosts and to destroy a wall at one point, almost making you a real Dovahkiin, and I had fun with it, as you don't have to say anything specific, just make noise. So I'd say something like fart or D's nuts, and use that for combat. Now, there were also a couple parts where you had to be quiet, or you'd alert Ghost, and I just happened to have squeaky floorboards where I was playing, but thankfully it was quiet enough to not set them off, although I did receive a couple noise warnings. And this game has a lot of interactable items, like doors, shelves, cabinets, and you had to move your arms in motions like you were actually opening and closing them, although I found parts where you had to turn something, e.g. a valve to turn off steam, to be a little iffy, as the Kinect seemed to struggle with me trying to turn things. Now, combat was very interesting, and varied heavily based off what kind of ghost you were fighting, and this game had a lot of variety. Now, this game has 3 main levels, each divided into sub-levels, but every main level has its own special ghost you have to fight. My footage is mostly from the second main level, which had one of my least favorite ghosts, the blindness ghost. I don't know what they're actually called, but they blind you with light, disappear, and then you have to find them within a very short period of time before they attack again. I really dislike them, as you seldom had sufficient time between attacks to actually find them, and your defense from their attack, covering your eyes, was a little iffy, and sometimes the Kinect had a hard time reading that I had my eyes covered with my hands, and I'd take unnecessary damage. And there are other ghosts throughout the game, such as the Brute, who you defeat by dodging his attacks, punching him, and then burning him with your flashlight, or the Projectile Ghost, who you defeat by hitting his projectiles back at him after unlocking that ability. Then you use your flashlight to pull him towards you, and you literally kick him in the butt. So, overall, I'd say combat is good in addition to being easy, and has its fair share of variety so that it doesn't get stale. And the final boss fight is fighting 4 ghosts in a row to put all your skills you accumulated to the test. I'd like to note I didn't die once in my playthrough, which unlocked an achievement, so yeah, an easy game. Now that being said, should you run out of health, you can use a vitality vial, which are found scattered around the game in addition to health pickups, but thankfully I never had to use a vial. Graphics-wise, this title did a pretty good job with its cartoonish looks, and the sound effects were pretty spot on. As far as the horror elements go, this title did have some creepy environments and sound effects, and even had a torture chamber in one section, but nothing to push it beyond its E10 rating. On the topic of game length, this title is about 3 hours long. Pretty fair for a game that asks you to stay on your feet the whole time. In conclusion, I think Haunt deserves a 7.9 out of 10 and was worth the $10 I paid for it. I'm not really sure if I can suggest many similar games, but you might enjoy Slender The Arrival or Maid of Sker if you liked Haunt and want a creepier title. Anyways, that is all from me for today, everyone. Thanks for watching. I hope somebody enjoyed my video. I one day hope to review the Kinect horror game Rise of Nightmares if I can find a copy cheap enough. And for anybody new to my channel, I mostly play, review, and discuss zombie and horror games, so feel free to check out some of my other vids if that maybe sounds interesting. Always remember that God loves you all very much. Thanks again for watching. Hope everyone has a blessed day. Peace.